You're watching South Asia Newsline, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Friday, the 26th of June. IMF says India major driver of global growth despite Iran war. Flood-hit communities in POGB face fresh threat amid inaction. And Taliban bans smartphones for civil servants across Afghanistan. And now for all the details. India remains a key driver of global economic growth, despite the impact of the Iran conflict and rising energy prices. According to the International Monetary Fund, at a regular IMF briefing, Communications Director Julie Kozak said India's economy has stayed resilient, supported by strong domestic demand, even as global headwinds persist. The IMF has retained its 6.5% growth forecast for India in financial year 2026-27, citing strong economic momentum and lower US tariff rates that help offset the impact of higher energy prices. Kozak noted that India's economy expanded by 7.8% in the first quarter of the calendar year, outperforming IMF projections. While acknowledging that higher oil prices and energy supply disruptions affected India, she said the country entered the crisis from a position of strength, with low inflation, a modest current account deficit, and ample foreign exchange reserves. The IMF also welcomed the Middle East ceasefire and easing oil prices, while indicating it will release updated global economic projections on June 8th.
I think from our perspective, some good news for India is that India entered this latest shock from a point of strength. It had strong growth momentum going into the energy price shock. Inflation was low. The current account deficit was modest, and India has ample foreign exchange reserves. So that work on the macroeconomic side and those buffers that India built have been a source of resilience for the Indian economy, despite the fact that, of course, there is still an impact from the shock.
And 35 countries, including India, have joined the US-led initiative aimed at building trusted and resilient supply chains for AI technologies. The announcement came at the second Pax-Silica summit in Washington. U.S. Undersecretary of State for Economic Affairs Jacob Hellberg said that the country signed the joint statement on AI opportunity, supporting a pro-growth and pro-innovation approach to AI regulation. He stressed that the U.S. is incredibly excited to partner with India, adding that the country was one of the first top 10 countries to join Pax-Silica. Argentina, Germany, the Netherlands, Chile, Costa Rica, Greece, Kazakhstan, Panama, and the EU joined the Pax-Silica initiative on the sidelines of the summit. The Indian delegation discussed cooperation in semiconductors, AI, and resilient technology supply chains with partner countries and industry leaders. Hellberg noted that the Pax-Silica initiative began in December last year with only a few countries, and that India joined the initiative in February during the AI Impact Summit in New Delhi.
So we're incredibly excited to partner with India. India was one of the first top 10 countries to join Pax-Silica. Our ambassador to India has really been a remarkable steward of the U.S.-Indian relationship, which, as he says, we believe is one of the single most consequential bilateral relationships in the world in the 21st century.
Moving on. A year after devastating floods, residents of POGB say official promises of rehabilitation remains unfulfilled as renewed flooding threatens their homes and livelihoods. Your report.
A year after floods devastated Tal Daz in Pakistan-occupied Gilgit Baltistan's Gezer district, residents say promised rehabilitation has yet to materialize. With glacier melt increasing river flow, they fear fresh flooding as promised restoration and flood protection works remain incomplete.
इस वक्त मुलाबात और तालदास में सैलाबी दरियाई कटाव के मुकम्मल ज़िद में आ चुकी है। लास्ट जब सैलाब आया था, सैलाब के बाद गवर्नमेंट की अदम तवज्जो की वजह से जब गवर्नमेंट ने तालदास और मुलाबात के अवाम के साथ ये वादा किया था कि इसको एक्सवेशन करके दरिया का रुख हम सीधा कर देंगे, लेकिन गवर्नमेंट की अदम तवज्जो की वजह से ना दरिया को एक्सवेशन की गई, ना दरिया का रुख किसी तरह मोड़ा गया। चंद एक हफ्ता 10 दिन तक एक्सवेटर ने वहाँ पे काम किया, लेकिन काम भी ऐसा किया जो न करने के बराबर था। उसके बाद से इस वक्त जो दरिया की सूरत हाल है, दरिया गुज़िश्ता दिनों कोई हफ्ता 10 दिन दरिया मुकम्मल तालदास की तरफ मुड़ा हुआ था। मुड़ के तालदास को जो पिछले साल सैलाब से कुछ एरिया बच गया था, उसको भी दरिया ने अपनी लपेट में लेकर दरिया ने लूजन करके सारा एरिया को खत्म कर दिया है।
Residents say the river has shifted course again, destroying farmland and threatening nearby settlements, and that authorities need to rush to prevent further damage.
ये इस वक्त आर्जी तौर पर टंटू में शिफ्ट हो रहे हैं। तालदास के लोग जब गवर्नमेंट कोई भी बंदा आ जाता है, वो उनको नजर आता है, वो इस वक्त रोड साइड पे ही अपने सामान भी खुले आसमान तले रख के बैठे हुए हैं। और इस तरह मुलाबाद के आवाम भी इस वक्त जो अपर साइड का जो हमारा मोहल्ला है, वो इस वक्त टेंट में शिफ्ट होकर ऊपर जो दास एरिया में है वहाँ पे शिफ्ट हो चुके हैं। घरों में वो रहने के काबिल नहीं है। रात भर दरिया का कटाव इतना ज्यादा होता है कि वो लोग एक लम्हे की नींद नहीं कर सकते हैं।
Moving on, Afghanistan's Taliban government has imposed a nationwide ban on smartphone use by civil servants, extending the restriction to employees of both military and civil institutions, including judges. According to military court orders seen by Reuters, the ban took effect on June 16. Officials found carrying smartphones face confiscation and destruction of their devices and face punishment under the law, the order said. The Taliban administration has not publicly commented on the directive. However, a government employee said the restriction has disrupted official work, with many administrative processes slowing down because communication and routine government businesses were largely conducted through mobile phones, WhatsApp and email. The governor of Panjshir province has already announced immediate implementation of the order across government offices. Rights activists have expressed concern that the move could further restrict access to information and communication in Afghanistan, where the Taliban has imposed a series of restrictions since returning to power in 2021, imposing sweeping restrictions on women and girls, including ban on education for them beyond grade 6. Chinese President Xi Jinping met Bangladesh's Prime Minister Tarique Rahman in Beijing on Friday, pledging to take bilateral ties to a new level. During the meeting, Xi expressed China's support for Rahman's leadership and Bangladesh's national development goals. He also said Beijing is prepared to work with Dhaka to build a China-Bangladesh community with a shared future for the new era. The talks also focused on water governance cooperation, with China offering to strengthen policy coordination and collaboration with Bangladesh. The discussions come amid growing downstream concerns over water security linked to a major dam project being developed by China in Tibet. Concerns center on potential artificial droughts, sudden floods and severe flow reductions in India's Brahmaputra River and Bangladesh's Jamuna River. Hundreds of Shi'ite Muslims on Friday took part in the mourning processions to commemorate Ashura, the 10th day of Muharram, which is observed in memory of the martyrdom of Prophet Mohammed's grandson, Imam Hussain. Take a look.
Thousands of Shi'ite Muslims in India took part in processions on Friday to observe Ashura, the 10th day of Islamic holy month of Muharram, that marks the death anniversary of Imam Hussain, the grandson of the Prophet Mohammed. The mourning participants beat themselves and performed self-flagellation with chains and steel-tipped flails in an effort to experience the pain endured by Hussein, who was killed in the Battle of Karbala along with 72 of his relatives, friends, and supporters. They also carried tazia, which is a miniature replica of the tomb of Imam Hussain.
अगर आप हिस्ट्री पर निगाह डालें तो आशूरा यानी 10 मुहर्रम से बढ़कर तारीख में एंटी टेररिज्म डे की कोई मिसाल नहीं है, जहां इमाम हुसैन ने एक छोटे से लश्कर के साथ, जिसमें 6 महीने का बच्चा था, जवान बेटा था, जवान भाई था और उनके साथी थे, उन सब के साथ कयाम किया, उठ खड़े हुए और यजीद जैसे क्रूर शासक को, जो अपने जमाने का और पूरी तारीख का सबसे बड़ा आतंकवादी था, उसे जेर दिया और उसे शिकस्त दे दिया। और महात्मा गांधी ने इमाम हुसैन के बारे में एक जुमला कहा, वो ये कहते हैं कि मैंने मजलूम रहकर जीत जाना हुसैन से सीखा है।
Meanwhile, similar scenes were witnessed in Vadodara, where devotees carried decorated tazia through the streets. The processions usually conclude at cemeteries, where they are buried to commemorate the day of mourning. The 10-day-long mourning period ends with Ashura. The event is central to the split between Sunnis and Shi'ite Muslims and marked by Shi'ites around the world with weeping and prayer. Earlier on Thursday, Shi'ite Muslims in Jammu and Kashmir carried out the traditional Muharram boat procession on Srinagar's Dal Lake, marking the beginning of Ashura commemorations. Dozens of mourners from across the Kashmir Valley joined the nearly 150-year-old ritual, with boats carrying devotees and religious flags moving across the lake as elegies were recited in remembrance of Imam Hussain. The annual boat procession remains one of Kashmir's oldest and most distinctive Muharram traditions.
आजकल हमारी फैसिलिटी भी आ गई कि हमारी रोड भी अब हर किसी मोहल्ले से चाहे पुल के रास्ते से या मिट्टी के रास्ते से, लेकिन रास्ता है, लेकिन हम ये दिल में हमेशा रखेंगे, हम ये यादगार रखेंगे, पुरानी की जो कल्चर है हम जिंदा रखेंगे, हम नावों में लेकर जाएंगे, फिर करबलाओं की शहीदों को इसी तरह हम तसल्ली करते हैं.
That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time next week. Have a great weekend.